Hello, welcome to the G.I. Joe New News Classified Reviews. My name is David T. Allen, or if you would like, Super Dave 817. If you would like to see more of this content, please like, share, and subscribe, and hit the notification button for future videos. Thank you and enjoy.
Hello, welcome to another episode of the G.I. Joe New News Classified Review. We are here for a big one today. I am David Allen. Thank you for joining me in the chat. And we're going to be reviewing Serpentor and his air chariot number 57. This is a big one. This is a huge one. Major character in the G.I. Joe lore. A lot of interesting information about Serpentor and where he came from and how he came to be. A lot of different versions of the origin of Serpentor, and definitely some fun O-ring original vintage versions and so on and so forth. So we're going to get started. First, we're going to cover Dan Klingensmith's book. And so let's see, Serpentor. I gotta find him first. Sorry. Oh, there he is. All right. So there's a lot to cover with Serpentor. So here we go. Beautiful painted piece of artwork by I don't know who that was, to be honest. Doesn't say who it was, but there's a bunch of turnarounds on that page there of different versions of Serpentor. Let's see if you can get some of those turnarounds in there. Different color iterations, colorways for Serpentor. There's a cool black and red one that kind of makes him look like Dracula up there in the corner. You see that one up there? Kind of looks like Dracula. Very interesting, very interesting. Beautiful piece of artwork here. Doesn't say the penciler on there, but it says that's the final pencil renders. And then the next page is a ton of turnarounds. Look at all those different turnarounds and colorways and so on and so forth of Serpentor, and then different positioning in the package for him as well. Lone Dragon, good morning. How are you today? Just saying hello, and before you head out to the gym, have a good one. Okay, this is going to be a big one, Lone Dragon Serpentor. Thank you for joining us. So then there's some figure turnarounds on the bottom there, over there. And let's see if we can read a little bit about Serpentor. And then also, this is Serpentor's air chariot turnaround, and kind of like a blueprint of that and how that gets put together there. All those items there. So let's see. What does it say about Serpentor? Alternate names: Imperial Hovercraft, year release 1986, designed by Ron Rudat and Guy Cassaday. It says, let's see, that's the air chair. Let's get a little bit of Serpentor's origin here. Oh, and here's another one. This is really, the ideations of Serpentor went really crazy. Some of these different versions of Serpentor. So let's read that, and then we'll read about the chariot. Alternate names: King Cobra, Cobra Rex, Rama Set, and Zor. Year release 1986, designed by Ron Rudat. When designing Serpentor, Ron wanted to create a supreme leader that represented Cobra in the best way. He described Serpentor as one who worshipped the cobra and shared that he was heavily inspired by the scene where James Earl Jones' character turns into a snake in the movie Conan the Barbarian. Wow. Then in this, uh, down here it says the Imperial Emperor. Down here, the Imperial Emperor for him. So then let's get to the air chariot itself. And the air chariot, Dan says, Serpentor's air chariot was originally conceptualized by Ron Rudat while doing ideation sketches for Serpentor. Once the rendering of the chariot was improved by management, Guy Cassaday Sr., produced product designer, was given the task to make it really a reality. Guy took Ron's idea, refined it, and eventually built the costing model. When designing the head for the front of the chariot, Guy sketched up an orthographic of the cobra head and had a model maker from the model department sculpt the head. Wow. So that was a lot of work. So Guy Cassaday helped do the chariot after Ron Rudat's original concept designs. So that's pretty cool. So then we're going to get into the actual visual vintage package. If I can find it. Oh, and there's Serpentor in the vintage package there. And it says on there, Serpentor, Cobra Emperor with Air Chariot. Looks pretty good. I think Hector Garrido's art is really one of the finest pieces, parts of the G.I. Joe lore. Those pieces of art really make these characters and these designs jump off the toy shelves. When we were kids, we were like, holy cow, look at that, let me get that. And I think that was a major part of this whole thing, is to make those toys really leap out at us and make us want to buy them. And that's a whole challenging thing in and of itself, working in the toy industry myself on the other side of the toy industry, the retail side. I understand what they're trying to do there with the toys. So then we have Serpentor's first appearance in A Real American Hero is issue 49, and his origin is slightly different in A Real American Hero. Larry didn't like all the sci-fi and fantasy elements that Sunbow was instilling in G.I. Joe. So he put in a lot more grounded, like he put in elements like Storm Shadow and using spiritual stuff and souls and things like that. Even though they did utilize the DNA origin that they did in Sunbow, they still change it up for G.I. Joe. So Serpentor is a little bit different than he is in the Sunbow cartoon. He's a little bit more stoic, more historically accurate when it comes to different aspects of the different dictators and people that he got their souls and DNA from. So his origin is slightly different. And so the Sunbow origin was a lot more fanciful, a lot more out there. And Dr. Mindbender was heavily involved in that with the DNA and the ribonucleic acid. I think it's called ribonucleic acid is DNA. And then there was a little bit of a secret connection to Serpentor as well, in a bigger, broader sense with the world as well. Bobby World, thank you for joining us this morning. I can't believe that we already get two Serpentors in the line, the one with the air chariot and the one that comes with battle armor Cobra Commander. Oh yeah, that's funny. We're going to be getting the snake version of Serpentor coming soon, so that's funny. I hope we get a different Serpentor down the line. I hope they do a vintage package version of Serpentor. Maybe use a little bit of the reddish Deke coloring colorway and make them look a little bit more royal like that. I've always wanted that colorway. I think it's really striking with all the snakes and the elements of Serpentor, but with a more reddish gold tinge of his armor. So that's what I hope we get at some point, Bobby World. Um, so then, like I was saying, Sunbow, they in Arise, Serpentor Arise, first episode of the origin of Serpentor, he's they make a few mistakes and we end up with a mutagen monster, and he's a little bit more theatrical, over the top. He definitely still has the strength and the gravitas, but it feels a lot more theatrical and a lot more dramatic, like Caesar, kind of. He's a lot more like Caesar, Julius Caesar. So that is what the Sunbow brings to Serpentor. Now we're going to look at two different versions of the O-ring figure with the Chariot before we go on to the classified version and review that. So we have Serpentor with the air chariot there. Then we have regular Serpentor with his cape and his accessories. So I wanted to leave that one on the Chariot because it was hard to get on there. The handles are not easy to get around the hand. So, oops. So the Serpentor came with a cape, a beautiful cloth goods cape. I think that was the second time we got cloth goods. Dusty was the first with that shamak or that thing that goes on the back of his helmet. I can't think of the name of it. We just did him and I forgot already what the name of that was. So there's vintage Serpentor with his cape. And then he comes with this cool snake that is all gold. And the cape is like a green, sparkly type nature cloth. And then he's got a gold like attachment that kind of is like a backpack, and it attaches to the back and it hooks to the back of his head. So he could look like he has a big cobra head on there. If you're lucky, your helmet stays on and you don't break it. Thankfully, this version here, the helmet stayed on. All the teeth are still intact. I mean, he's a beautiful, beautiful figure. I just think that little bit of extra red would have been really nice with this. And then he comes with a dagger. He comes with a little silver dagger. So let's see if he'll stand up. I can put him over there. So this really helped the lore of G.I. Joe, in my opinion. It gave us another layer, gave us more competitors for the leadership of Cobra, in my opinion, with the Cobra Commander and Serpentor challenging each other for leadership of the Cobra organization. But there's a little bit more to it than that. There's layers to this whole Serpentor thing. It's not just Dr. Mindbender coming up with the science and stuff like that. There's other elements involved. So then we get Air Chariot with Serpentor. It's a really nice little vehicle, and I think this is the first one in this kind of figure vehicle price point that they started offering. Now every year after this, they do a different figure and price point, miniature figure with like a vehicle, and I like this one quite a lot. It has a little propeller that moves around to make him fly. He's got two guns in the front. He's got a little bitty snake head. He's got some computer stuff there. That handle moves, and when you move the handle, the head moves as well. it was a nice vehicle. I enjoyed it as a kid. I had a bunch of Serpentors when I was younger, so that's why I have two now. I still have my two Serpentors. I don't have all the vehicles because they didn't hold up that much. Um, but I think they did a really good job in the vintage with the vintage version, uh, encapsulating that fantasy element and that fun along with it. So I think they did a good job. So now we're going to get into the classified. Now, the classified Serpentor is part two of a set that was San Diego Comic Con and PulseCon that matched each other. Um, their packages both had beautiful paintings on the back as well. Oops, there. And so the same artist did the art on Serpentor that did Dr. Mindbender. Um, Again, this is number 57. And let's see what the designations are. Well, let's first look at this piece of beautiful artwork. Look at how beautiful that is. It shows all the different historical figures they pulled from to get Serpentor. It shows his different struggles within the Cobra ranks against Cobra Commander and the other members of Cobra. Let's see. And so let's get into his designations because this is going to be a big one to open and unlock all this stuff. So let's see. We have the 5 stars, which is leadership. I remember that. We have the knife, which is, I believe, bladed weapon. Yep, bladed weapon. Leadership. We have that weight. I think we have that. No, no, we don't have that. And then we have a chess piece, a little knight. So I'm guessing that is strategy. Um, yeah. So it has a little knight horse that is, I'm guessing, strategy or strategic or something like that. And then it has that little bitty uh, weight. I always forget what that is. The little weight there, the little teeny weight up there. I always forget what that symbol is. I think it's strength, maybe that weight is. So then our package opens. We get this beautiful piece of artwork on the front that's covers a third of the box, but then the box slides open and that comes off. And then we put that aside over there. And we have the DNA, Cobra DNA thing, the ribonucleic acid DNA. I wonder if they're going to do the zombie Serpentor Khan from Real American Hero comics. Currently, I don't know because there's a lot of stuff in the comics that people have been wanting for quite a while, Bobby World. You know, people have been wanting Dawn, they've been wanting Sherlock, Multo, they've been wanting the new Snake Eyes, they've been wanting a lot of that stuff. And yeah, I would like to even get the blue androids or whatever they're called, those guys. So there's a lot in Larry Hama's comics that have not been made yet. So I'm not sure if they would go out and try to do zombie versions of the Cobras at this point. I think they'd be better off doing new characters that we haven't seen yet. But that's just me. You know, everybody can have their own opinion on that. But yeah, that's an interesting thing with that. That there's so much cool stuff that we haven't gotten yet. But I'm with you on that. So then this opens up, the DNA opens up, and you get a picture of Serpentor, the air chariot, and all of his accessories and stuff all laid out like that. which is really, really nice. There's a lot of beautiful artwork on this. I love all this painted artwork. It's one of my favorite parts of the classified line in the early years is all the painted artwork. And this is like in a lab, similar to Dr. Mindbender, where he was in a lab. And it shows them building the air chariot. And it says Mars on the interior and so on and so forth. So let's get some of this stuff out and we will start building this and seeing what we have in here. This is going to be a little bit longer of a video because it's going to take us a little bit of time to build this and put this all together. If I can get him out. Not sure. It's not coming out. All right, so let's see. We may have to see if it'll come through this side. Yeah. Try the opposite direction and see if we can get him to go that way. I think it was because he was attached to this little flap here that attaches the center art. So let's see if I can pull him out now. There. All right. So he was attached to that flap there, and he was getting stuck. So we'll get him out. So we're going to start with Serpentor. And again, this is the first time we're opening this. This is a San Diego Comic-Con exclusive figure of Serpentor. Thankfully, I was able to get one, and then I got a second one at Joe Fest about a year later. I got a good deal on a second one from somebody at Joe Fest, a vendor at Joe Fest. So I got a second one. So I was able to get in on the pre-order for it for San Diego Comic-Con with the code. That's when they were doing the early codes, and it was a little bit tricky trying to get these guys, these San Diego Comic-Con ones. Thankfully, the newer stuff has been a lot more easier to get. So just looking at his cape off the top of my head, there's cloth goods. This might be the first cloth goods that we get in classified. I thought Beachhead had it, but he had a rubber thing on there, not the cloth. And this is like a serpent type print, like a scales. Looks really, really cool looking. All these scales. I don't know if that comes off in the screen or not. But he's definitely more subdued. The golds are layered, so a lot of the gold is subdued. So the chest part here with his crotch, a little bit of the front and back of his boots has a brighter gold, and then the side of his legs, obviously the jaw of his helmet is that brighter gold as well. But then all the other gold is more of a subdued gold, like a brownish gold. He has the same helmet as he did with the vintage one, the Cobra head and the fangs with the head in the middle there. He's got the gold, the green and layers of snakes all over him, like the vintage one. He's slightly different with the armor. The armor is slightly different. He has these gauntlets that are like more scales. He's got a little snake on his belt there with a little red deco in that with his mouth. The face print on him looks really, really nice as well. I must say, it looks very, very menacing and very, very trying to figure out his strategy and figure out how he's going to beat G.I. Joe. He's got some cool elements on his boots there as well. He's got some elbow pads that connect to the gauntlets on his wrists that are really nice. Overall, I think this is a good uh, inspiration of the original vintage version of Serpentor. I think there's definitely a little bit of room with this to get a little bit brighter deco on this and maybe get a second version of him down the road, if possible. I think there's room since he was a San Diego Comic-Con exclusive. We could get another one. All right, so let's see if we can get this through the other side now. I don't know if we'll be able to or not. Yep, we did. We were able to get it to the other side. Steven, good morning. How are you? Hope you're not working too hard over there. What's up, David? What's today's topic? Today's topic is Serpentor and the Air Chariot. Classified number 57. San Diego Comic-Con Serpentor with the Air Chariot. First time we're opening this up, and it's really, really nice so far. So we're going to take that out of there. We're going to put the box down here temporarily because we have other stuff to get out of the box. So we're not done yet with the box. So I have to put part of the box over here, put part of the box down there. There, we still have some stuff to go. Always. Okay. Everybody has different interpretations of their jobs and stuff. And I know you like your job, so I guess that's fun. That's fine. I'm going to put that over there. All right, so he's got a little bit of a cardboard in there. Put that aside. Make sure there's nothing inside that. Yep. And then he's got a little bit of one of these little Cobra and G.I. Joe packages that has some stuff inside of it. And then, so we'll put that aside for now till we get to it right there. And then we have another piece of cardboard. It's empty. Put that aside. And then we have the Air Chariot and a bunch of the parts. So we're going to try to put this together. First, we have to undo all these ties. So there have not been that many vehicles in classified up to this point. We're on number 57. I think we've gotten 3 vehicles prior to this. So this is the second Cobra, technically the second Cobra vehicle, because we got the coil cycle with Baroness and now the Air Chariot with Serpentor. I've seen pictures of this loose, and it is striking, and it's much bigger than you realize. That's the thing with a lot of the vehicles. They are way bigger than you might think. So that's the interesting thing about the classified. Because it is 1/12 scale, they are bigger. You don't think about it until you get the stuff in hand. You're like, wait a minute, that's way bigger than I anticipated that was going to be. That's why I was a little bit surprised about the HasLab, because the HasLab is quite large. And I don't think people realized how big that was until they started showing the model off at San Diego Comic-Con. Then people realized, okay, this thing is not small at all. So yeah. But this is quite a striking vehicle in and of itself, I believe. Let's see. Did I get everything off? No, I don't think so. There. Let's see. So something's still attached. There. And then something is attached on that side. There. All right. So now, so there's the superstructure of the Chariot. There. It has that little wind thing that the original had. Um, it has wheels. It looks like little wheels or little detachable things. Let's see if there's some sort of a device of some sort that uh, makes this go. I don't know. I don't know if these come off. Oh, okay. They're landing. They're little landing legs. So that was not on the vintage. So that's a new element. Ultra Manage? You're a new person in the chat. Thank you for joining us. You have almost every classified figure, but I won't buy anything from the introduction of Cobra La on. That's when G.I. Joe jumped the shark and became a child-specific cartoon. Well, that's fine. You're entitled to your opinion, Manage. I personally do like Cobra La. I think it added another layer to Cobra and the whole hierarchy of Cobra. But you're entitled to enjoy this brand and enjoy this line the way you feel comfortable. I'm not going to tell you how to do that. So everybody's entitled to do that. I know there are people that are just OG-13 guys. There are people that are straight arm guys. There are people that are only up to 86 guys. There are people that are from like the late 90s, like 89 to 90 collectors. So everybody collects differently. You're entitled to collect however you feel like it. And if you don't want to get Cobra La, that you're completely within your rights to do so. So let's see. So now we got the big snake there. Steven. Give you everything except for the G.I. Joe Extreme. I like the G.I. Joe Extreme. I don't particularly care for the style of the figures. I like the storyline and the characters and stuff. I thought it was a pretty cool continuation of G.I. Joe because it is kind of connected. There are Cobra elements in there, and there's people connected to the characters in the previous G.I. Joe. So I do like the lore of G.I. Joe Extreme. I don't particularly like the figures that 4 POA bulky figure, but I guess that was where the toy industry was going at the time. Everything was 5 POA bulky type stuff. Even Star Wars got to 5 POA bulky, these big chunky figures at that point. So I think that's why that is the way it is. But I do like the lore of it, Stephen, but I do appreciate you commenting about it. I like pretty much everything. Obviously there are little bits and pieces here and there that bother me, but I will never tell anybody that they can't collect the way that they want to collect. That is all up to that individual. We all collect differently. All right, so we got a little bitty blueprint like we did back in the day. Blueprints tells me how to put this thing together. Let's see. I want to make sure I got everything in here. All right, so I'm going to put the blueprint over here. We got these two little black wings that were on the vintage version. In fact, I don't think mine has them on there. Or maybe they do and I don't see it. I don't know. All right, so we're going to try to put these on here. Let's see. Bobby World. I would like to see them being bring Sergeant Savage and his Screaming Eagles to the classified line. Yeah, I've said it before. Lenny has said there's nothing off the table. So if the line keeps growing and doing as well as it's been doing, I think we could get some Sergeant Savage. I would not. I would not say never on that if I were you, Bobby World. Let's see. So that goes. These go. Yeah. That. All right. So I got those little jets in there. Steven agrees with you, Bobby. All right. Let's see. What do we have next? We have the little part that you hold when you're driving. It goes in the center, the console. Let's see. There, that's snapped in. It's always good when you hear a nice snap. So that's that part there. You actually love that concept. Yep. I did too. Joe Kubert's art really jumped off the page, and he was famous for doing all those military comics back in the day, Sergeant Rock, all that. And he was the designer on that. And the fact that the Kuberts have worked on G.I. Joe in many different capacities kind of gives that legacy of G.I. Joe through the Kuberts as well, because they've worked on the comics of the vintage comics with Larry Hama. They're working on the new comics. He worked on G.I. Joe Extreme. They've done a lot. So then we get this cool Cobra snake, a little bit more menacing here. So we're going to put the snake over there next to Serpentor for now. I think that's everything that's in this box. So we're going to put the box aside. We're going to put the blueprints aside. I'll put those over there. So, all right. How often do I do videos? I do probably which town? I live in Central Florida. I'm not going to give my town, but I live in Central Florida. It's between Orlando and Daytona Beach. So you can figure out which town that is. And then I do them as often as I'm able to do them. Sometimes I do 2 a day. Sometimes I do 1 a day. Sometimes I've taken days off. Sometimes I've taken breaks, like a couple week break. It just depends on when I have free time and I'm able to do it. This particular week, I am on a bit of a bereavement leave, so I took some extra time to do some more videos. Oh, meant time. It typically is between the morning around 9:30 to 11, in between that, or in the afternoon, in the early evening between 7:30 and like 9. So those are my 2 windows that I typically do videos, depending upon what I have going on during the day, Stephen. Oh, you know where I live. Okay. But I just didn't want to put that out into the world because I don't want anybody trying to, do unsavory things to my collection. So look at how big this thing is. It is huge. That is way bigger than I thought. If you look at this in comparison to the vintage one, it's like a 3 3 up higher scale. Look at this. That is a much bigger vehicle than I anticipated. It's like three sizes larger. Wow, that is big. All right, so then we got a couple more things we got to open up here. I'm going to put that aside. We got the Cobra and G.I. Joe package. So we're going to open this up. We got to be careful we don't lose some of this stuff that's in here. Because there's a bunch of stuff in this bag. Yeah, let's see. We got this. Got some guns. Some missiles. All right. That's everything out of the Cobra G.I. Joe bag. So let's see. There's more parts to this. We have some guns. Let's see. What did I do with that? Lost my knife that I had. I don't know what I did with it. It was right here. Now I don't see it. Oh, I know. It's in the box over there. So there's these two big, like, Gatling guns that come. Look how huge these are. There's all kinds of greeble and details on these. They look really good, I must say. I think they've added more elements to this Chariot than was on the original Chariot, if I'm not mistaken. Based on that Chariot there's definitely some new elements. I've got to see where these go. I know he has two head places. One that looks great, but you lose the architecture. The other one doesn't look bad, but you can rotate his head. Oh, Serpentor? Yeah. Oh, he's got a second headpiece in here. I haven't opened that up yet. So there's different parts for that. Bobby World. Let's see. I've got to figure out how this goes on here. Oh, okay. I think I got it. I think it goes like here. There. No, I put it on the wrong one. That one goes on that side. This definitely has a lot of new elements. Stephen, you could probably attest to that, even though I have the vintage one right there. There's a lot of new elements to this. Then there's these cartridges that go on the edge and side that are the bullets. You know what? I'm going to put that on there first because that's going to be difficult to try and put on there. There. All right, I got that on there. Put that back on there. And then the other one, take that back off. And then put this on here. There. And that one goes in there like that. Put that on. So those are the bullet cartridges. And then there's the guns for the laser, the initial where that was in the original. So these are the laser parts of this. Oh, you got a meeting? Oh, that sucks. Sorry. So that snaps in there. And then that goes back on there. And then the other one snaps in there. So then you have these huge guns. Look at how big these guns are. They are absolutely huge. They're much bigger than the vintage guns, and they have a lot more elements added to them. This is definitely a monster of a vehicle. Let's see. And then there's a bit of a claw. So this claw goes on the figure, and it goes on one of his gauntlets. So I'm going to put that on there, and it has kind of two Wolverine claws there that you can attach to him on that. All right, let's see. So we got a lot more stuff to get to. We are not even halfway done with this. You might think we would be by the size of this. I'm actually going to put this here. Oops, my vintage Serpentor fell. I'm going to try to put him there like that. Temporarily. There. Stay. All right. So he's like that temporarily. We have a bunch more stuff to get to. Look at all this other stuff that we have to get to. All those interior things. So we're going to open this slot on the top here. Pull this stuff out. This tray there. And then we're going to pull out this tray. So we're going to take the two trays, put them there, and we're going to put this back together. All right, so we got all that back together. I'm going to put that back down there. So let's see, we have his Cobra staff. Now the vintage one did not come with a Cobra staff, and it is really nice, and it has a little bit of deco on it. It has a little bit of red on there. No other deco. It's all kind of gold. So we're going to stick that over there. He comes with a sword. I think maybe in the cartoon he has the sword, possibly. I can't recall off the top of my head, but he has a cool sword, a little wibbly, has the gold handle, and it has a little red encrusted jewel with silver deco on that. Put that aside there. And then he has a Cobra snake, similar to how he kills Duke in, or attempts to kill Duke, I should say. He doesn't kill him, actually. In the G.I. Joe movie, he has the snake, and he fires the snake at Duke and puts Duke in a coma. There's a little bit of deco in that with the teeth, I think. Or maybe I'm just looking at it's just the light. So there's no deco on that snake. Let's see. I know he has two. Oh, okay. I already did that comment. Sorry. Not paying attention to the chat. I apologize. So then he has another claw, a much bigger claw, two-bladed claw, silver deco. Let's see. So I guess you can switch this claw out and make it like it's like launched, or it's out, whatever, if you wanted to. So you can put a different claw on him. Um, then you have, oh, this is the a different. This is the different head that you were talking about, Bobby World. Let's see. Comes with this different head, so you can put the larger, the vintage version of the head on, and then it has this to go on top of his head. It's like a snake hat with eyes and teeth and stuff like that. And there's some really beautiful design work on that as well. So you can make him into the vintage version, or you can make him into the 2000s, which this is more of a 2000s hat, I'm guessing. Let's see if we can switch that out and make him more vintage. I'm going to try. Yep, that came right off. And it unlatched pretty easily. So I'm going to put that on the head there. And I'm going to put this in the back, just like it was in the back in the 80s, like the peg hooks in the back. They've got it set up the exact same way. Let's see. So now, let me see. Can't. His cape is in the way, so it's harder to get to that. So you have to, there it is. Okay. So now he has much more, it's a lot shorter than the vintage. The vintage one is much more protruding, but there you go. There's your vintage version of Serpentor's cowl. Actually, I kind of like that one better than the other one. I kind of like it better. It looks more traditional with that. Let's see if we can attach him without having him fall off to the air chariot itself. There's one leg. There's the other leg. I'm going to try to put his hand on this handle. So these are the trickiest parts, is trying to hold on to this stuff. There. All right, so he got his hand in there. I had his feet in the peg hooks. They just came out, and then one of these little things came off. So I will put that back on there. And then that one go back there. All right. So I wanted to get one hand free so he could either use his sword or use his scepter. I think I'm going to use his sword because I think it looks kind of cool. There. Kind of looks like he's charging into battle, kind of like Caesar would. Hey, good morning, Sean Jones. Thanks for joining the chat. So we are covering Serpentor, classified review of Serpentor and his air chariot. We covered the vintage version, and we covered a little bit of the history of Serpentor and the multiple different variations of his origin so far. And we're just about at the conclusion of this. We got a lot of accessories, a lot of cool elements, and it is big. If you look at it in comparison to that one there, it is big. It's like 3 times the size. It's huge. Oh yeah, and I forgot I have those leg things that I can open up that it can sit on. Forgot about that. There, 1, 2. So there's a lot of new elements with this. There, see these little leg little things? You can have him sit on that so he doesn't sit on the propellers and stuff. Oh wow, look at how big that is. Vintage one doesn't want to stay. I'll put him back in his package. Back in there you go, Serpentor. Put him over there. Oops, I left out his snake. So then you have his snake. I guess you could put his snake like that, because his vintage snake has to go back in his package with him. There, I'll put him back there. So yeah, then we have all these extra elements here. So there's a lot of cool stuff that comes with this. I wish he had the locker. I wish he had the cool Cobra locker Hasbro put with a couple of the figures, because he needs it. He's got a lot of extra parts. It would have been kind of cool to have a locker for him. But he is fantastic. Between all the beautiful artwork, all the awesome variations of accessories. So there's some tampos on the sides that says caution, gun reaction. And then there's a little bit of technology there on the edges. There's some deco in the eyes of the snake there. There's also Cobra tampos on the side of the wings there. And there's also some numbers. It says ZE something 3. They have the same caution and tampos on the opposite side. There's a lot of computer stuff on this as well. But I think there's a gold stripe down the middle. There's a little bit of black and gray for the ventilation to make it look more realistic and real world. There's also some gray and different deco colors on the different handles and light up panels and stuff like that. And they look really good too. I wish there was like a slot that you could put like his staff in or something like that. That would have been kind of cool to have a slot somewhere. But this thing is epic. I've been waiting to get to Serpentor for a while now, and I am definitely not disappointed with this. Classified really stepped their game up with this, and I can see when they get to some of these other vehicles, the details and all that fun stuff that they incorporated. So I guess we probably won't get another Serpentor, because this kind of incorporates both version 1 and version 2 Serpentors. From what I could tell, the only difference would be a deco color maybe. So I don't expect we're going to get another Serpentor. So if you guys can get a Serpentor, good luck to you. But that's a tricky one to get. So what do you guys think? Do you think they did a good job with this Serpentor classified team? This is the first really deluxe offering. We've gotten figures and vehicles, but they're kind of simple vehicles, not a lot of fancy stuff like this. This is a lot more fancier. We're getting into some really fun vehicles coming up soon. I look forward to getting to those items. Bobby World. You think he's a great figure? Well, I think I agree with you. I think he's a great figure too. Get his cape flowing like that. I'm hoping we can get some more cloth goods characters. Do you think we're going to get the Iron Grenadier Destro here shortly? Maybe showcased at least a render maybe for one of the 4 events that's coming up this fall. LA Comic-Con, New York Comic-Con, MCM London, and 1027. Do you think we'll get Iron Grenadier Destro with a cool cape like this. This is beautiful. And then the Twilight Guard had a really nice cape. So I think we could get a really nice cape for Destro. Iron Grenadier Destro. Um, what else do you guys have to say about this Serpentor? Is he like one of your favorite characters, or do you guys not care for Serpentor that much? I know Sean, one of the other guys, was saying they only collect up to um, before Cobra Law, so that's fine. Let's see, Bobby World. Uh, Whenever they do Iron Grenadier Destro, I hope they do that Vac Metal Gold. Yeah, I think because they tested it on the Cobra Commander, the I think it was the new Cobra Commander, the vintage package Cobra Commander, had a Vac metalized mask. So I'm guessing that's where they tested that, and I'm guessing that's why it's taken as long as it has for the Iron Grenadier Destro, because they didn't want to rush that and they want to make sure they did a good job with it. So I believe that that's coming soon. I hope with vac metallization on that mask. It wouldn't be right if they didn't do that. But the problem with vac metallization, it does not hold up over time, because the Silverhawks, I have a lot of the vintage Silverhawks, and that stuff does not hold up over time. So you got to make sure you take care of that figure and make sure the face doesn't peel and stuff like that through dust and grime in the air and everything like that. But they're running out of major characters to do like this, like vehicles. We got Darklon, but we didn't get his Invader. We've gotten Serpentor. Let's see, who else came with a little miniature vehicle? I don't think we got the Interrogator yet, but I doubt they're going to do the Interrogator with his vehicle. And we haven't got Venomous Maximus, and I doubt he's going to come with his creature chamber. So a lot of these things, I don't expect them to come with the vehicles. I think the only reason why they did Serpentor with his air chariot is because that's iconic. You have to have Serpentor with his air chariot, so they had to make that. So Destro, I don't think with the despoiler is that iconic. The Iron Grenadier Destro is a figure, definitely, but the vehicle I don't think is as iconic. And then if they do that, it would have to be able to be attached to the Invader, or whatever the name of the other vehicle, the Iron Grenadier big tank that it attaches to. I can't think of the name of it off the top of my head. Persuader, maybe? I don't know. So that's the thing. They have to do world building, and if they're going to do that vehicle, you got to make sure it attaches to another vehicle. And then does that mean we're going to get that vehicle? So it's all a domino effect. If we get Destro, do we get the Despoiler? If we get the Despoiler, do we get the Invader, or the whatever it's called, and so on and so forth. But we're getting close to a lot of the Iron Grenadiers being complete. We only have Iron Grenadier Destro. We got Iron Grenadiers Voltar. We've got a couple of the troops. Like we got the guy with the rocket pack. I can't think of his name either. And then we got the guy with the helicopter. We've got the blowtorch type Iron Grenadier guy. We've gotten some Iron Grenadiers in the 4-inch and modern lines too. They're heavy gunner versions, and this version and that version, Arctic versions, and so on and so forth. So there's still, actually, now that I think about it, quite a lot more Iron Grenadiers. Maybe we would get a Destro in more of a cloak type of Arctic Iron Grenadiers, and the Baroness similarly in like a cloak or whatever, in Arctic Iron Grenadier gear. And there's different ones that came with the movie too. I don't know if they would incorporate some of that stuff that was in the movie that were Iron Grenadiers, that were green and this and that and purple, different abilities. So I don't know if they would include any of that movie element stuff for the Iron Grenadiers. But I would say the Iron Grenadiers still has a lot to go. And I think I was talking yesterday about them doing a HasLab. So I think if you did Destro with his despoiler, then that vehicle as the HasLab, then you would have things to build on that with. And so I don't know. I don't know. That's an interesting HasLab. I don't know how they would do that and if they would build onto that like they did. Then there's the driver of that and so on and so forth. So there's a bunch of vehicles. And I don't know if we would get a lot of the vehicle drivers for Iron Grenadiers. But Serpentor has a secret. He's connected to another faction of Cobra through the science and the biology of his origin. We've been getting some of those elements of classified with Nemesis Enforcer and Pythona and Once a Man Cobra Commander through Cobra La. So are we going to get the bad guy, the leader of Cobra La, Globulus? And if they do Globulus, will they do him with the shifting gear tail, kind of like they did with Marauders? Not Marauders. Who was it that does that really cool custom tail with Medusa figures with those medieval and those ancient creature figures? I'm having a hard time remembering stuff today, but there's a toy line that has all those parts. And would they do that type of mechanism with Globulus? And would it be able to fit into his orb, his flying creature orb? And his creature orb would have all these tentacles and eyeballs and everything. Would they do that for Globulus? Is that a necessity for the Globulus release? Would they have to do that? I don't know. But that's one of those things. Is it a necessity like Serpentor with his air chariot? They never did that with the vintage one. So would they do that with the new one? I don't know. That's a question for Hasbro, I guess, and the team. But you guys have any more questions or would like to add more to this Serpentor video before I get going? Like I said, this is an awesome offering from Classified. I think they did a really nice job with this, and very very nice inspired version of this, upgraded like Classified should be. And the fact that they incorporated both versions of Serpentor, a modern version, 4-inch version, and a vintage version, I think that was excellent. So unless you guys have anything else, we're gonna close this Serpentor review out. I really appreciate everybody in the chat. Stephen, who had to go leave, and I think Lone Dragon had to leave as well. So thanks everybody for chatting and chiming in on the chat. I really appreciate it. And I also love it when everybody asks questions and stuff after the fact. It makes this more interesting, more cool for me to interact with you guys. So we're on 87. And so now we're going to 58. No, 57. Sorry, 57. Now we're going to 58. And we're going to be going to another subgroup repaint figure next. So get prepared for another group, subgroup entering the fray of G.I. Joe Classified. So we've gotten Tiger Force, Python Patrol. We've gotten Iron Grenadiers. No, we don't got Iron Grenadiers yet. Not yet, but we'll get to them soon enough. Have a great day, Sean Jones says. Thank you very much, Sean. I appreciate it. I hope you guys have a great day too. And so this is a Cobra one. And what does Serpentor say? Cobra! See you in the next one, guys. Thanks.